Why didn't law enforcement come into play?
So, combination of it, I realized I didn't like it as much as I thought I did. I did an internship. I did a ride along with a suburban police department. I thought it was the most boring thing I've ever done.
Is it boring? Like, that sounds fantastic
suburbs,
to me.
Like, they just pull over people all day. Like, and I didn't.
It makes you think, like, all that shit, like, the crazy shit that you see online is like the like the percentile is crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But most of your day is just pulling people over. Hey, you have your tailgate is, or your taillight is busted or whatever.
Responding to like false alarms.
Yeah.
All day. Right.
Damn.
Yeah. Like
yeah.
It's,
you just feel like worthless almost because it's like false shit. Right.
Yeah. I mean, like 1% of the time, shit goes down.
Right, but then you have to. But then you're always amped for that too.
Yeah,
right. You can't be like not. You can't just think everything. It's like a false positive rate, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like you can't be a model that just goes for false positive rates. Right?
Exactly.
Like a model that says 99% of the people don't have cancer or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. You might be a good model because like you're correct most of the time.
Yeah.
But the 1% that you're wrong is fatal. It's
fucked up shit. Yeah.
That person has
so you
cancer.
have to show up to all these alarm calls because 1% of them could be something, right?
Yeah. And so you have to like dial into that model type where you're dialed into the horrible shit, right?
But here's the hypocritical part of it. I could have applied and gotten I could have been a Philadelphia police officer overnight. I knew ex-cops,
Okay, so one thing.
Yeah.
We're not showing our faces ever in this podcast, but like Phil looks like a cop. He's wearing glasses right now, like
aviator
glasses. Yeah. This man pulls people over and like just kind of, all right, this is a $400 bill for you.
Yeah, like Can you slow the fuck down?
Yeah.
Where are you going in such a hurry?
Yeah, you're just a cop at this point.
I know.
Yeah.
I could easily play the part. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been told that many times by many people. Like I know that I've walked up on people doing drug deals, like at a 7-Eleven in some shitty part of LA, and they stop because I think I'm an undercover cop. I know that's probably happened many times, right?
Yeah, your presence, your very, very physical, like look, like puckers up buttholes of criminals. It's like, oh shit. Pucker butt.
So phenotypically, I probably missed the mark, right? I think, if we are a society that's like ants where we have like predefined roles, I probably should have been.
Yeah, like if I was like on a Tinder app or whatever, and I was scrolling through and I saw you and it says geneticist or biologist, I would not have believed you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy, folks. Like, I want you to see what I see. It is a cop I'm talking to. He's interrogating me in my backyard.
Where were you on, where were you last night at 7 o'clock? So the hypocrisy of it is that I could have been a Philadelphia police officer, but I didn't want to deal with that crazy ass shit. Right? Because I really wanted to be a detective. But in order to be a detective, you had to be a beat cop for like 5 years and do really well and not be an asshole and do good work, pass the detective's test and become a detective. I wanted to do that. Right? I didn't want to go through the chasing people all day, in Philly. Yeah.
But then, all right, so then, yeah, you didn't want to do that. But then how does that transition to a life decision outside of that?
Well, okay, so I didn't want to apply for Philadelphia. I really wanted to go straight to, detective, whatever you want to call it. So I thought two alternatives would have been the Pennsylvania State Police and a government agency I won't name. And I applied for both of those jobs. I didn't get either of them. That was like that deflated me a little bit. And this was, so while I'm doing all this stuff, I'm working at a casino. I'm doing security and surveillance for a casino. And then I transitioned to work at a university, security.
I see.
So this is like I'm working in the field, quote unquote.
Right.
While I'm applying for these jobs.
I see. So you get like but those experiences kind of dial in on to a certain understanding of what your life might be, right?
And here's the kicker. This is what I learned about myself. Through those experiences, there's a word, I take in everything. I take in my job. Like I take
absorbing your profession.
And working at a casino, dude, you see the worst of humanity every fucking day. And it's like it really made me like a really bitter, like almost, I didn't like it at all. Like I didn't like the person I was becoming.
It's like people just, giving away their families, like just life savings.
Stealing like pennies, stealing people's purses just to play the games more, like crazy shit, dude.
Women pissing in front of
I've
the
seen
slot.
people piss themselves and shit themselves. I've seen You name it, dude.
Is that real? Is that real? Like, people are so addicted to gambling they can't go to the bathroom.
They can't walk up and go to the bathroom because they feel like if they leave their machine, someone's going to take it and win the jackpot.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And we're talking about slot machines, which have like predetermined odds, like fucking like, you know.
It's all calculated.
It's
a computer program.
People think there's magic machines. There's like their machines.
Is there physical machines though that they still use? Is that hackable?
So they have a lever. But the lever, you can use the lever, but the lever just hits a switch. There's no mechanical stuff anymore.
But it used to be.
There used to be
this kind of like, just.
Oh, some of them still have like an actual like thing, an analog thing that rolls in there, but it's all computerized, right? Like there's a computer behind that
to determine the odds.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, I see. Like the motor is determined.
Correct.
Oh, I see.
So working at the university was a huge, beautiful thing in my life because I'm like now I'm working with like college students, like. College students can be assholes, but like they aren't pissing and shitting themselves. Well, some of them are on a Friday or Saturday night.
Yeah,
but
for the most part,
it's a much easier situation.
Right. It's like youthful chaos.
So there's a version of myself where I didn't get that job, and that's a Phil that I probably don't want to meet because either he got stuck in that casino job, or maybe he eventually did get a law enforcement gig that he liked, an actual law enforcement gig that he liked. You know.
So how does that whole thing of like going to the university like manifest to like, oh, I want to go back to
right?
Yeah.
So here's a chance, quote unquote, encounter. My grandmother, my dad's mom, went to a funeral, and she meets this woman that she knows from church, and they're talking, and she's like, "Yeah, my husband's the head of security at this university," and she says, "Oh, my grandson is works in security and has an undergrad in criminal justice and all these things, and he's looking for a new job." She's like, tell him to email my husband his resume, and I'll tell him to give him your son an interview. Basically, she gave me a job, like right there and there.
A little bit of nepotism.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
So I go in this guy's office. His name is John, and I give him my stuff, and we talk. It was like a 5-minute interview, and he's like, "By the way, being a full-time employee here comes with some great benefits. You get to take courses for free."
Oh, wow. Cool.
And I'm like, "Oh, fuck, this is awesome."
Mm-hmm.
So my thought was, I'm going to do an MBA. Fuck it, why not? I'll do an MBA. Seems like a smart decision.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anything the fuck I was doing. So I started working there. After 6 months, you can take courses. So that's when I apply for the MBA or, start taking courses. I want to take business courses. And then I'm like cleaning up the science building checking the science building for like, unlock doors and stuff like that. And I'm coming across this person, a graduate student actually, working at like 11 o'clock at night, which is what graduate students do. And so I like knock on the door. I'm like, "Hey, you okay?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'm fine, blah, blah, thanks for checking." So I'm like, "What are you working on?" They had like all this stuff out, and they were working on something. I don't even remember what the hell it was. They had like test tubes out and all this stuff, and they're doing something.
Test tubes, right? Yeah.
And
test tubes, like
and
science.
We just got to talking, and I was like, you know what? I've always loved science, and I always have been a huge nerd. My paternal grandfather was a huge outdoorsman. Like he was like kind of like a Hemingway-esque type of person. He got me really as a young kid. I was really involved. I loved biology. Because he did.
You have a good brain for like memorizing shit. You have like a good database.
Some things. If you ask my girlfriend, there's a lot of things I forget.
The things that you're interested in.
Oh no! Now you're gonna get me in trouble.
No. As in like certain things about like life doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Not like key things about your
I do
relationship.
forget a lot of
it's
things.
About like it's about like very minute shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get to talking, and I'm like, man, I would have loved in a different life, different multiverse to be a scientist. And he's like, wait, you just told me you can go back to school for free. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, then do it. Go back to school for biology. And I'm like, well, I don't have an undergrad. And they're like, just what's the worst that can happen, right? It's free. So I like went back home and I thought about it, and I'm like, damn, is this something I can do? And so I go in the next time I go, and I talk to the head of the biology department, and the woman was like, listen, Phil, you can definitely do this. The problem is, though, you don't have any lab sciences. You're going to have to go back to undergrad and take courses. Like, not get another degree, but you're going to have to take, like, a good amount of courses to get into this program for a master. So, dude, I went on a 2-year expedition of taking, like, undergrad courses for 2 more years. So, basically, I have 6 years of undergrad at this point.
Holy shit, man.
And then I went back for my master's, and then the rest is history. I did a PhD, and that was another major transition, was that job, for sure.